Jim and Allison, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, Ron.
It's great to have you. I want to jump right in and talk a little bit about your faith journey. Maybe if you would, just share a little bit about your upbringing and how you came to love the church and your relationship with Christ, and maybe how that's even evolved over the years.
Absolutely. Want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm a cradle Catholic. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. As a child, we went to church all the time, but I really didn't have a personal relationship with Jesus. I just kind of went through the motions, did what we were supposed to do as Catholics. And that's kind of how it was for many, many years. Kind of fell away a little bit when I was in college. Not the best model Catholic I could have been. But then I met Jim here and started going to church again and just started getting more involved with different ministries and just began to fall in love with my faith and see Jesus more as a person than a topic and just developed just a beautiful relationship with him.
Wow, that's cool. It's neat. It's not uncommon for people to drift away in their faith journey. It's so common, especially during university, and it's so cool that. So, when you came back after you met Jim, was that before you had kids or after?
It was before we had kids.
That's
Actually,
so
I
cool.
met Jim through my sister, and
Yeah.
I actually remember sitting behind him in church for a midnight mass and kind of just thinking that he was like a nice looking guy, um, and
Checking them
uh,
out.
and then we kind of connected because brothers married sisters, and
Right.
he just happened to be in the car when I got in to go somewhere, and the rest is history. So he went to St. Victor Church. I'll let him tell his journey. But we
Yeah.
just started going there, and it was such a welcoming parish to be at. And the pastor there was very interested in just getting us involved
Yeah.
as much as he could, as fast as he could. And yeah, then we ended up getting married there and baptized our kids there.
Huh.
So it really was Jim that brought me back.
That's beautiful. It's neat to see when that happens, because a lot of times when people have kids, it's like, oh my gosh, I want my kids to have faith.
Yep.
But you came back, yeah,
She's
through
leaving
your
off some of the
relationship.
details.
Yeah, we'll let you fill in your side. Maybe that's always why it's great to have couples on the show.
I'm a little afraid. Yeah.
You're a little afraid. So my journey, very similar to Allison's. I was raised in St. Victor's Church. My parents were very good about making sure we were at Mass every Sunday and completed all my sacraments at St. Victor's. And when I left for school, I would say similar sort of experience, although I didn't completely fall away. There was a church on campus that I would go to from time to time, and then what kind of kept a string on me the whole time was even music, which I can get into a little bit maybe later. But
Sure.
even on campus, there was sort of a call to be involved in some music there. But once I met Allison, and she's right, we did start to attend church together. But one of the first things that we were asked to do as a couple at St. Victor's, and if you remember this,
Theology on tap.
well, we were involved in Theology on Tap, and then we were also involved in youth ministry,
Yes.
leading a sort of a summer camp type setup for kids
The trailer.
Yeah.
out of that trailer. And it was St. Victor's, a very vibrant parish growing up. So in a lot of ways, very similar to the vibrant community that we have since found at St. John the Evangelist
Yeah.
parish here in St. John, Indiana. But yeah, that started our sort of reintroduction to church, and then slowly started getting involved in more things. I was involved in building related committees at St. Victor's, and then ultimately, when we moved to St. John, it became a struggle for us to continue to go there, and we eventually joined the parish here. And it didn't take long for us to get immersed in a whole
Right.
host of things.
Yep.
So it was a very vibrant place and exciting, and we just got sort of felt welcome and pulled
Very
in,
welcome.
and it's been that way ever since. And we have grown in relationships and friendships with folks. We met you through that journey, so that's another huge benefit. And thank you, by the way, for having us on the show, on the podcast.
Oh,
It's good to be here.
Really a blessing to spend time with you.
well, it's a joy, for those listening. Jim and Allison are two of my favorite people in the entire world. And it's neat hearing you tell your story because for a couple of reasons. One, you guys put action behind your beliefs, which I really, really inspired by personally. Like you really put your money where your mouth is, or your time where your mouth is, or both. Time, talent, and treasure. You guys align that with your faith. And I just find it so beautiful. But I want to just point a couple of things out. One, Allison, you mentioned how that pastor got you involved pretty quickly into a lot of different things. And so it just goes to show you how important it is to, when new people are around, to connect them, not, hey, I'm so glad a new person came to Mass, but connect with those new people and get them engaged. And I just think that's really important from two perspectives. One, people that are doing the inviting, but two, people that are in ministry. Make room for new people.
Absolutely.
If you're sold out for Christ and there's no more room for new people, then step aside and let some new young people come in if you have to, because we need to make room for new people, because oftentimes it's through getting involved that you develop more friendships and feel like you belong. And
in Alpha, you always talk about the power of the invitation. And there is such truth to that sometimes that person just wants to get involved but doesn't know how, because they might feel intimidated by a large parish or people who already know each other. Right. And all it might take is, hey, you want to join us? And then it's like a relationship has been formed forever. So it's important.
Yeah, it sure is. So tell us, because we're talking about, and one of the things I really want to talk about, there's 100 things we could talk about, but the one thing I wanted to focus on today is your passion for adoration of the Holy Eucharist. And Jim, I see your shirt, Eucharistic Revival. This was a big year this past year in the U.S. And I know for us in our diocese in Halifax, Nova Scotia, that was the bishop's focus for our annual 2-day, and it actually sold out and never sells out. And so it's like there are a lot of Catholics got really excited about that theme of Eucharistic revival. And when did Eucharistic adoration first become significant in your guys' lives? And maybe how's it impacted your faith and your marriage?
Yeah. So we were actually just talking earlier how growing up, we never had adoration in our parish, or maybe we did, but it just wasn't like something that was promoted.
Or we weren't paying attention.
That's a very good possibility. And it really wasn't until Jim was playing at a teen, it was called Source and Summit.
A youth retreat.
It's a youth retreat. And they had this tower of candles in the middle of a gymnasium, and the lights were off, and they were playing just beautiful praise music, and everybody was kneeling. And as the priest passed by with Jesus, I just sobbed. And it was like a feeling that I never felt before. And it was just like you could just feel his presence. So that was what
that left a mark, eh?
Oh, it did. And Jim was playing guitar.
Well, and I could say even for me, it's very similar. We would have quite a few retreats every year. We would host one, and even other parishes, our music ministry would travel to support those youth retreats on weekends. And adoration was a huge part of that for the weekend and for introducing teens to Jesus, and just having him present with us and celebrating with us and helping us discern. But my experience, very similar, just Eucharistic procession through the crowd in a retreat, and having Jesus process by and reaching out and touching the veil of the priest, and really feeling that presence and power was overwhelming.
So then take that and fast forward to probably 2003. our deacon Paul had given a homily just about our adoration chapel. We are blessed to have in our parish perpetual adoration. And for those that don't know what that means that someone is present there 24/7 sitting with Jesus, and that chapel is open for people to visit perpetually. The blessings that come from that are just innumerable. And he had given a homily on won't you give an hour to Jesus? And I thought, why can't I give an hour to Jesus? And at the time, you were really wrapped up in school board meetings. We had 2 small kids, and I called the person who organized it, and I said, I'd like to take an adoration hour. And she had said which hours were available, and they were all during the day. And I said, I'm so sorry, I need one in the middle of the night. And she said, oh, God bless you, I have just the time for you. Because nobody usually wants those hours. And so I took the 1 to 2 a.m. hour on Thursday mornings, and I've had that hour, I think, since 2003 or 4, if I'm remembering correctly.
On.
It's and
It's been quite a while.
It's been a long time, and I just have to say, like, the peace that you get while sitting in front of Jesus, like, and nobody comes in and out during that time, so you have them all to yourself, and you could just sit there and talk and pray, and like just all the ideas and inspirations that come to you. You could just perceive in your heart that they're from him.
You know, Allison, I have to say, you've just wrecked it for a lot of listeners who are at home saying, yeah, I don't have time. I'm busy. I've got a family. You just, all of them just going, oh, no. No, I don't, she could do it. I feel like I have to do it. It's like,
you just fall in love all over again. Just sitting in his presence. It's just, yeah, everybody's got to give it a shot.
So, Jim, I can only ask you this question: is she cranky on Thursdays? Like, or is she peaceful?
She's not cranky, but she does hit a wall.
3:30, I need to take a 20-minute nap.
Yeah, she needs a power nap in there somewhere.
That's beautiful, and you're the least cranky person I've ever met, so I knew the answer to that was going to be no.
Yeah, she definitely is not cranky.
Thanks.
That's a beautiful story of being convicted and then acting on that conviction, and then loyalty to that hour with Christ is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's
so, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's just, once you start doing it habitually, you would rather be nowhere else.
Right. That's beautiful. And I've been at your parish, and for those of you that have listened to the podcast before, you've probably heard me talk about St. John the Evangelist. I've had several people on the podcast from St. John the Evangelist. I've spoken at the conferences at St. John the Evangelist. It's a beautiful relationship that we've had over the years, and I absolutely love coming there. I can't wait to be in your presence soon. I'll probably be here and gone by the time this is posted, but I'm looking forward to my trip.
We're still looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And the whole focus of adoration isn't like it's you have perpetual adoration. You have a chapel that's from the 1800s, isn't it?
The log cabin, right?
Yeah,
right.
It's just beautiful. The original church.
I should know that. It was actually the original church of St. John the Evangelist, created. I think John Hack was the gentleman who started that. And he's actually still buried here in St. John, in the little cemetery. But we now use that original church as our adoration chapel. And then from the outside, it just looks like a little log cabin, and you would never know the beauty. Jim had the privilege of renovating it to have it match the inside of our church.
Designing some of the renovations.
Yeah.
You did that. That makes sense. It's beautiful. Jim and Allison own an architecture firm in St. John, Indiana. And so they've done some incredible work, including the newer church. If you want to go see that, it's amazing. But adoration, what I love is that you do have perpetual adoration, but that's not the only place you guys have adoration as a church. Tell us a little bit about that.
You mean about the endowment? Or
No, not yet, but just adoration is something you do as a congregation regularly.
oh yes, so we regularly have what we call encounters,
Mhm.
where we'll set apart an hour and a half, in which we'll usually have some sort of a speaker just talking about their relationship with Jesus, some sort of a
Mhm.
testimony, you could say. And then we have a time of like praise music where uh, Jesus is exposed and everybody can just adore him and just sit in silence and visit and have beautiful music. And
Yeah.
it just kind of refreshes you. We do that, I think, quarterly, is it? At least?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then different times. But yeah, just being a part of the music ministry and participating in those, it's a very special time for me being able
Mm.
to play and praise
Bring everybody
Mm.
closer.
and
It's such a great
pray,
time.
in front of Jesus. It's been really a privilege for me
Mm.
over the years.
I don't know how you do it because I'm a crier. Like the Holy Spirit touches me and I
Oh,
cry very easily. And they're just tears of joy. It's not anything negative, but somebody said I have the gift of tears. Like, and if I were playing, I
You
would have
wiping
like
your
just
eyes trying to
tears
see the
dripping down
chord.
my face onto my guitar if I play guitar.
it definitely catches me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Strings would all be rusty. It would be
Yeah.
terrible. It would be just terrible.
Yeah.
But it
And I
is,
know even at the
yeah,
staff, when they have their staff events, they'll do adoration oftentimes.
They do that every
So
Wednesday, actually. Every
yeah.
Wednesday, they have Jesus exposed from 11 to 11:30 before Wednesday afternoon mass, and then they have the afternoon mass. So they expose Jesus for the
Mm.
staff every Wednesday.
Yeah.
just
So
as a practice for staff to be able to have that time to bring anything that they're working on or something maybe they're struggling with
Mhm.
or something that they really need motivation, they can
mm,
bring it before Jesus and say, please, give me some guidance on this particular
mm.
issue. And I think that's such a huge blessing to our parish.
Yeah. And so it's so helpful. Like, when I think about parish renewal, when I think about leadership in the church, we always need to be grounded in prayer. And there's lots of different forms of prayer. And Eucharistic adoration is a beautiful form of prayer. And at St. John the Evangelist, you guys really do incorporate that in multiple areas. It's not just something over here. It's actually part of your guy. I would say it's part of your collective
Mhm.
faith, like not
Absolutely.
just Catholic faith, but your spirituality, I should say. Yeah.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, for the first 6 years, I think it was 6 years, I was at the Adoration Chapel. I had a lady who was my co-adorer who would spend time with me from 1 to 2 a.m. And she always used to admire the Bible that I had. And it was like a read through the year Bible. And for Christmas, I got her the Bible. And she said to me, "You're going to make me Catholic yet." So there was this
She
beautiful
she
lady.
was worshiping with you and she wasn't Catholic?
I never knew. And you know what? That's the beauty of it, is that like Jesus is for everybody. And there are so many faiths that recognize his true presence in the Eucharist. They might not practice it every Sunday, but they feel it in their hearts. And this beautiful lady, I mean, that just kind of shows that how like united we all are, because just the love of Jesus brings us all together. And you don't have to be Catholic to go to an adoration chapel, because Jesus speaks to everybody's heart. And it
Oh,
doesn't matter.
that's
It doesn't matter your faith.
I did not see that one coming. That's beautiful.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah,
That is totally
I
awesome.
know. She was just the most beautiful lady. Yeah, Roseanne.
It's funny you say that because when Nicole and I, my wife, when we met, one of the first masses she came to, the first mass was the Easter Triduum of all things. So you'd think that would change. She's not
It's a
Catholic when
long
I
one.
met her. And so you think if she was going to run, that would have been the time to do it.
Yeah.
But
Most likely, right?
it was Holy Thursday. And of course, after that mass, you process downstairs for adoration. And she never exposed to that before ever. And for her, it was the most profound part of the whole thing was adoration. And I wouldn't have thought that would be the case. So to your point, Allison,
Mhm.
anyone can come and just be in the presence of the Lord.
Because you
There
feel
was
his
a,
power. You feel his power regardless of your faith.
mm,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of people, having a relationship with Jesus and a dialogue, it's like, what form is that supposed to take? Well, adoration gives you a good chance to quiet your
Mm,
mind and introduce yourself to Jesus, and to start to be open. And then it starts to really unfold from there, right? It doesn't have to be
mm,
just an adoration. You can start to have conversations
mm.
more often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Right. Yeah. When you're not
sort of,
there.
but a lot of people don't maybe feel that, but you can. That's definitely, adoration is sort of the start of that process for a lot of folks, right?
Mm,
To say this is a conversation that I could have all the time, and I think
mm.
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Game changer. We were just this past weekend was the Steubenville Atlantic Conference. That's a youth conference, and
I love
yeah, you
student.
familiar with it?
Love student.
And adoration, of course, and is
Oh,
a huge part of their experience. And
yep.
well, here, let me share this with you. You love this story. They added a new component this year because at one point they often ask the kids, because a lot of them will have beautiful experiences of
Mm-hmm.
Christ during that period, but a lot of them have been on that journey for a while, and they'll often ask anyone if they feel a call to the religious life,
Mm-hmm.
and if so, to put up your hand and come forward, and they pray over them, and then if you feel a call to become a priest, possibly, and discern the vocation of the priesthood, raise your hand and come on down, and they pray with them, and that's beautiful. And so that's a normal part of the conference.
Yeah.
This year, they added a new component. If you're not Catholic, but you feel a call to become Catholic, please raise your hand and come on down. And apparently, all kinds of young people come forward,
Yay!
which shocked everybody there because people didn't know there were that many children there who weren't Catholic. It's like, how did you get to this Catholic conference? It couldn't be more Catholic.
Right.
And it's like, clearly people are inviting. And
Right.
boy, when we invite people to experience Christ, they often are open to what's next. And
Right.
so anyway, your story tells me that in the chapel.
Yeah.
And
And
then, yeah.
and once they have that feeling, right, they yearn for it, and they originally they can't really put a finger on where's this call coming from, or what am I missing. But then when they do
Mm,
experience it, it's a total game change.
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Cool. So how did you discern this call to start an endowment as a part of that foundation? Tell me a little bit about the difference between an endowment and a foundation, and then the call.
Sure, sure. So of course the Eucharistic Congress, as we talked about, had gone on, and adoration there was like unbelievable. How many people? Like 80,000 people, 55, somewhere. Many thousand people. Just
Lucas Stadium, I was there
Lucas
with you.
Oil
It was
Stadium,
so
yes,
fun.
you can hear a pin
Yeah.
drop. So that was so beautiful. But I had been invited to sit on the board of the Catholic Foundation. It's the Catholic Foundation for Northwest Indiana. It is through the
Yep.
Diocese of Gary. And
Okay.
I kind of pick and choose on what boards I want to sit on.
Mhm.
But if it's a goal of bringing people closer to Jesus, like I'm all in. So of course I said yes, but I'm a little ashamed to admit that like I did not understand even what an endowment was as I
Mhm.
went to sit on the board. And so what the foundation is it's a conglomeration of all different kinds of endowments. So
I
different
see.
schools
Okay.
will start an endowment for the teachers fund, or they'll start an endowment for the seminarians, or
So
there's
specifically earmarked for a particular purpose.
Correct.
yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And an endowment had been started called the Mercy Fund, which was started by Bishop Hying, in
Mhm.
which it was like that was the first grant making endowment. So people could
Okay.
apply to the Mercy Fund, and different organizations throughout the diocese. It supports like food pantries and shelters and all sorts of wonderful things.
Mm.
So as soon as I was invited to sit on the Catholic Foundation, and I started to learn what an endowment was, I said to Jim, wouldn't it be cool to start a Eucharistic Adoration Endowment? Um, Actually, first I said a perpetual adoration endowment, and that still is like a long-term goal. But
Yep.
Eucharistic Adoration Endowment was a good place to start. Um,
Yes.
so what that was is like my goal, my dream, is to just beautify the adoration experience to all the parishes throughout the Diocese of Gary. The Diocese of Gary, in many ways, is economically challenged, and
Yes.
resources are, in some ways, hard to come by. And we have been blessed with so much. We have to spread your time, talent, and treasure. And I wanted to start this endowment to try and help perpetuate adoration throughout the Diocese of Gary.
Beautiful.
So
And when that comes on her heart, of course, we're
You're
going
all in too.
100%. Let's go. So,
but it's just been really exciting because my nephew has helped me create a website. And now people can go and learn more about it. And a little backstory, when we were in Israel, I had at one point perceived in my heart Jesus saying, "Tell the world." And I, at the time, I said, "Well, what am I supposed to tell them, and why would they listen to me?" And I heard again, "Tell the world." And I never really thought of what that could mean, but things are becoming more evident to me. And I feel like just telling the world that Jesus loves you and that adoration is for everybody is a good place to start. So
Right?
this time, the grants were opened up in December, and they will be every December going forward. And we formed a committee, and we received 11 applications. And since it's an endowment, and so for those of you who don't know, an endowment, any contributions that come into the endowment, those contributions are never given away. They just make the endowment grow. So when you give, it's a living legacy. It just continues to grow and to thrive. And the fruits of that, the interests, are what the grants are given through. So seeing that it's a new endowment and we haven't really gotten a lot of interest yet, we funded the first 3 grants for this year, just because I want people to understand what the intent is and what the beauty is. So this year we were able to do for one parish, or having an altar built by a local carpenter who actually donated all the materials in his time. And the church just happened to find a beautiful slab of marble that they're going to use so that they could now have adoration in the mornings at their Mass. And they now have a little chapel, and a parishioner donated a monstrance that they could put on the altar, in a tabernacle too. So that was one. And then another one, the Adoration Chapel was just a little in disrepair, some stained carpet, some just needed just a fresh facelift. So we supplied the money to have them beautify their Adoration Chapel there. And then the third one was they needed a new humeral valve. They needed a cope because it was mismatched items and they were quite old. And they just wanted Jesus to have beauty around him. Not that he needs it because he's beautiful in and of himself. And then they also wanted, it was called I believe it's an ocenteria. It's like a small monstrance that you could keep in a tabernacle so that you could take Jesus out really easily and expose him to adoration. So there's
a lot of good Catholic words, isn't there?
There are cope, humeral valve, ocenteria, monstrance.
I'm glad you got all that.
If there was a line description, you had to draw them to the picture. I don't know how I would do it.
But I was just so excited because the bishop announced the recipients at a Mass that we had it was the Rosary Across America with Father Rocky. And
we did another procession. So there was
another Eucharistic procession.
There was adoration. So this was June 28th. We had adoration for an hour, and then we had a celebration Mass with the bishop. And then there was a Eucharistic procession down from the church down the prayer trail. And there was Jesus was exposed on the altar down there at the shrine.
During the rosary.
And then we prayed the rosary across America. So it was a live broadcast that was held from the shrine. and it was a family rosary across America for for a half hour, and then there was praise and celebration and a drone show and fireworks. It was a pretty spectacular evening.
It's
So
a
it
celebration
was
for
really,
Jesus.
yeah, really, it was definitely a great chance to expose more people to to the love of the
Mm.
church and love of Christ. And it really, I think the other, like going back to Indianapolis and Eucharistic Congress, just
Mm.
one of the parts of that really touched me was just the procession through the streets of the city, and how many people lined the streets. I mean, there were tens of thousands of people along that route,
Mm.
and it was just such a beautiful afternoon. The church, on full display, walking through the city for everybody to see, and hopefully, spark some curiosity what's going on, and what's this about, and maybe maybe get involved in some way. So I
Yeah.
just think the more that there is exposure to Christ in adoration, the more we're going to see things tip in the direction we obviously from the church we want to see them go.
And I think when you
Yeah.
have Jesus present, it always brings a sense of hope and peace. And to
Mm.
just to process through the streets with him. Um,
Mm.
and there was like all the seminarians lined and all the priests lined. And it
Mm.
you sometimes hear that the Catholic Church is failing, but I've never seen it so alive and well as in the streets of Indianapolis. So
It was really beautiful.
give hope. Yeah.
That's so fun. And Allison, you mentioned you heard God saying, tell the world. And I'm surely glad you got to tell that story on the podcast, because hopefully more and more people will see this, and
Thank you.
you've been telling them. So
I'm
way to go.
trying, Jesus.
Great work. Have you, because again, Eucharistic adoration, when people take the time to do it, does it make a difference? Do you know a story of anybody that you think of? You've definitely shared from your perspective. Do you know of anybody that they would say that Eucharistic adoration has played a significant role in their faith journey?
I can go first. Just
Yeah.
a young man who was discerning entry into the Catholic Church. He
Mhm.
for the period of his discernment, he spent a great amount of time in prayer and adoration in the chapel,
Come
and
on.
then ultimately came to the conclusion that becoming Catholic was his call, and I think that that's a beautiful fruit from that time he spent. So
And just this Easter, he became
just this Easter, yes,
welcomed into the church.
yeah.
Yeah. And I just
Huh.
hear constant stories just of the peace that people feel in their heart once they sit in his presence. And I think sometimes we wait for these huge miracles and these like earth shattering moments. But I think the beauty is in all the small miracles that happen every day, that you just go, you pray, and you feel like a lighter person. So
Yeah. Yeah, when you get a godly perspective, a heavenly perspective on your problems, your issues, your concerns, your fears, your dreams, your hopes, it's so helpful. It does bring peace. God's perspective brings peace.
amen.
And sitting with him and talking to him about the things that are on your heart are a
Right.
great way to get that perspective.
I
Yeah.
remember sitting there one time, and my family has had some extended family has had some struggles along the way, and I was
Mm.
just sitting there the one day, and I just was like at my wit's end, and I'm like, I give it all to you, Jesus, because I don't even know what to do or where to go. And I remember saying, I felt a little guilty. It would be nice if like you would give me some sort of sign. Like, and I like, and I'm big and like, don't ask for signs because he's here. You don't need to prove. But like, I was just like so exhausted. I'm like, please. I remember sitting there and I felt like my arms press against myself. And
Huh.
I almost felt like I was being hugged. And
Aw.
like, I couldn't move my arms. And then
Yeah.
then I didn't want to move my arms because it was just like such a beautiful, like it was like my
Feeling.
holy hug. It was exactly what I needed at that time. He always provides.
Wow. It's funny you say that. It reminds me years ago when I first started doing Alpha, and we made all kinds of mistakes and did a lot of things poorly. I look back now, I would have fired myself. Uh, but, uh, but it was so beautiful. I remember this one lady, she was French, and she was really frustrated because, you guys always talk about personal relationship with Jesus, and I don't know what you're talking about. And she would be all upset and really frustrated. And she was such a sweet, gentle woman. And it's like, well, when it happens, you'll know. And it's, and you can't force it. You just have to ask
No.
for it and be open. Anyway, it was the time during Alpha that you pray for the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
And we finished praying, and people had an opportunity to kind of share. And it was so quiet. You just feel the presence of God in the room. And it was a small group. There's only like a dozen of us. And when we're just sitting in silence, somebody'd share, and there'd be silence, and then somebody else would share. And then she just said, I know what you're talking about. She said, while we were praying, I felt like Jesus was behind me, hugging me the whole time. And she said, I just wept because I knew he loved me and he knew who I was. But until that point, she
Amen.
didn't. But it was the holy hug that
It was, yeah. Yeah.
that she felt,
Coined a new phrase there.
It's the holy hug. And I think too, like sometimes we just have to be open to like acknowledging, like if the Holy Spirit talks to us a dozen times during the day,
Yeah.
are we listening? And I think if you just quiet yourself, and that's what adoration gives you time to do, just to quiet yourself and see what's perceived in your heart. Because all of us get so many messages throughout the day. And are we listening? So
Yeah, but that's my joke. She's the satellite dish, the spiritual satellite dish.
You just have to listen to her, Jim.
You just have to listen.
It's way easier for you. It's way easier. What about the rest of us? Yeah, well, he's not in the fire, he's not in the wind, he's not in the storm. It's that still small voice. And boy, with all the distractions of technology and everything else and busyness, and it, to make that time is a gift. Real beautiful.
That's why I love your
So-
podcasts, because your podcasts are always very inspirational, and it's using technology for the good, and it's so uplifting, and just you do a great job.
No, thank you. I hope you listen to this one. I had some great guests on this time. So
Maybe I will.
next time I'm in Indiana, I'll introduce you to them.
That's too funny. That's great.
With the whole idea of, and so a couple of things. I think about what you've done, what you're doing, why you've done it. I just think it's so beautiful. To me, and I'm sure anybody who's listening can hear a genuine desire, a genuine love for Christ, and a desire to spread that love to others. It's so evident. And so if somebody's listening to this and they're from your area, I guess you don't even have to be from your area to make a contribution to the endowment, do you? Or do you?
No, anybody can make a contribution. Like I said, there's so many areas throughout the Diocese of Gary that are in need.
True.
That if I could tell the world just to help us bring people throughout the Diocese of Gary just closer to Jesus, that's my goal.
That's beautiful. And you guys have a website. What's that? We'll put it in the link below later.
Yep,
But what's
it's
the web-
actually it's kind of a long one, but www.eucharistic.adoration.endowment.com.
Okay. Perfect. Rolls right off the tongue. And I'll have a link for that in the bottom.
Shorter ones, but
yeah. But I hope too there's some people listening to this who also, like you, love Jesus, love the church, and really appreciate adoration. And it's like, wait a minute, I wonder if I could do something like that in my diocese. And I think the answer is yes. And if they wanted to touch base with you guys on that,
that'd be awesome.
Just talk a little bit about how you did it. Would you be able to have a conversation with them?
Absolutely, because it doesn't have to be a big fancy endowment. It could just be, here's a list of the needs if you want to perpetuate adoration. Every church could I'm sure use something along the way, and there's some standard things that are needed for Eucharistic adoration. So I'd love to have a conversation with anybody.
If we've learned anything in our parish life, is that we are all united and we're stronger, lifted together. So yeah, anybody that needs help in any way to do the same thing that we're trying to do, we would love to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, isn't that fun? We had a gathering last night for the end of Steubenville just to celebrate one of the speakers, and his wife and 5 girls are staying with us. They're just a treat.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's Chris Bray Music. If you want to Google him, he's a recording artist too. Actually, he was just
Chris
with
Bray?
you guys.
We just met Chris. And he was amazing. He did such a great job. Yeah,
Isn't he great?
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I could have listened to him for a couple more days. Yeah.
The only thing better than Chris is his wife and his 5 girls. They're just fantastic.
The pictures he showed were awesome.
Beautiful family.
Oh my goodness, he's a strong man. Yes,
isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, that's really awesome. That's great. So I had the privilege of being a chaperone at Steubenville for two times.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, just to watch those kids so on fire for Jesus. One girl, like in our group, was slain with the Spirit and like laid on the floor for like 5 minutes, just with a smile on her face and peace. And like as a chaperone, I'm starting to worry a little bit, but everybody was like, "No, just let her be. She's fine." And she was. It was like I want that. I wanted.
I want that.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. That conference is so moving.
It's so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the last podcast we put out this week, actually, the week that we're recording this, was from one of the fellows who started the LEAD program at Steubenville. And so that stands for Leadership and Evangelization and Discipleship. And it's just to take Steubenville alumni, put them through a week intensive and teach them how to share their testimony and
Our
go
James
deeper
did
in
that.
prayer. Come on.
Yes, our James was the lead person. Yeah.
What impact did that have on his life? Did he love it?
Oh, he loved it. He
did love it, and I would say that did have a strong part in formation for him. Just being able to explore and have Jesus a greater part of what he was doing, and to be able to share that with others.
To be bold as a teen, to come back and talk about your experience.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
How cool is that?
I think try to think back. Me as a teenager, would I have the same courage as him? And I don't think I did. He tackled that and was able to pursue it, and that was great.
I feel the same way when I look at my kids. I'm thinking they're miles ahead of me when I was their age in terms of my faith and my courage and my holiness. And I just think the church is in good hands. Like there's a lot of amazing young people whose faith is really strong and solid and committed. And I'm really excited for the impact they're going to have. In fact, when they left the barbecue last night, where were they going? Christian was leading praise at Eucharistic Adoration, and my daughter and her fiance were going as well. And I'm just thinking, come on.
Oh, it doesn't get better than that. Yeah.
Right. And I think, part of your mission, of accepting this call by God to tell others and to support churches that are looking to beautify their spaces for adoration so that they can do that. It really is something that other people can get involved with, whether it's in the donation, whether
it could support anything related to adoration. It could be, something that somebody's going to do to sponsor, events. It could be other things.
Yeah, because we had a couple of requests. The grants applications came in for to support speakers, and someday maybe we'll be able to do that.
Right.
But not yet. We're getting there.
Well, as soon as this podcast gets out, millionaires are going to just be piling. Elon Musk, I'm going to send it straight. I'm going to put it on X, and Elon's just
There you go. We can only hope. You know what? Jesus has a plan. It will go where he wants it.
That's true. And truly, I've some good friends who also done quite well, and they just see, generosity is a spiritual gift. And, we need to get behind the things in the church that speak to our heart, that align with our values so that we can bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. That's what our call is. It gives us more purpose and meaning than anything else. And so I thank you guys for what you do and how you do it. You're so fun.
Thanks for helping us get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And for all of you guys that have been listening along, thanks for sticking with us. It's so fun to talk with you every week as you're driving in your car or watching at home or however you consume the podcast. We really appreciate it. And if you're serious about parish renewal, if you're serious about growing in your faith, you can't do it and not be rooted to Jesus Christ in prayer. And so Eucharistic Adoration, if you haven't been doing it or haven't tried it, give it a try. And if that's something you can bring to your church, please do, because it really is the engine room of renewal for your whole parish. So thank you. God bless you all. And we'll see you next time. I want to encourage you, as you lead this week, be faithful to God and generous to others. See you next time. And remember, if you're still breathing, you are powered for impact.